You're listening to the N2K Space Network.
And now, a message from Black Cloak. What's the easiest way for threat actors to bypass your company's cyber defenses? Targeting your executives at home. According to the latest Kármán research study, over 42% of CISOs have reported cyber attacks on their executives in their personal lives. And this becomes your problem because executives are easy targets at home for account takeover, credential theft, and reputational harm. Close the at-home security gap with Black Cloak's digital executive protection platform. Award-winning 24/7 365 protection for executives and their families. Learn more at blackcloak.io.
Lots of views on space tourism out there. Yeah, the high price tag has meant that this ride is for the few that can afford it, unless you have a business or humanitarian organization footing the bill. Do these trips open up access to space to more people, or are they just joyrides? Does space tourism advance scientific understanding, inspire future leaders, and create passionate advocates for the caretaking of our world? There are absolutely no simple answers here, and nobody knows that reality better than those who have made the incredible journey to space themselves. Welcome to T-Minus Deep Space from N2K Networks. I'm Maria Varmazes. Nicolina Elrick's journey is a tale of relentless ambition and resilience. From her humble beginnings in Scotland, she has forged her way to becoming one of the first 100 women to travel to space. Nicolina was part of Blue Origin's NS-26 crew, which flew to the Kármán line in August 2024. This is her story.
My name's Nicolina Elrick. The real Nicolina E is what everybody knows me as on all my socials, because it really is me. I think I got the real because I fell into space is my thing, and I really feel like that's me, and I've thrown myself into it for the last 15 years and embraced it. So prior to that, I come from extremely humble beginnings, which is contrary to most of the Blue Origin flyers. So when I launched the Blue Origin back in August this year, August 29th this year, with an amazing crew. Most people think of Blue Origin flyers as like the billionaire joy club, all flying up to space, doing a little jolly. And I kind of wanted to break that record for them. I wanted to show that that's, not what I'm about. So my mission statement was like, girls who come from trauma and come from nothing can achieve greatness and touch the stars, quite literally. So, so I was a kid that came from nothing in Scotland. So I'm the first Scottish woman that went to space. That was incredible for me. That was a great achievement. So I was born in Scotland from a very traumatic family. My mom was an alcoholic and I had an absentee father. So it was not great beginnings for me. But, I'm a survivor and I kind of thrust through and I saw education as my way out. So I worked extremely hard and I was an entrepreneur since the age of 5. And I've just been doing all these odd jobs here and there, from delivering papers to setting up a company that was doing jello shots to all sorts of random kind of stuff, until I kind of found my niche in IT. So I was doing programming and I made some money through IT investment through the 80s and 90s. Yes, I am that old. Thank God this is just microphone and not camera.
I would never have guessed that, honestly. My goodness.
That's very sweet. That's very sweet. But yeah, I was
so you're born in the 80s, right? So that's when you were 5 that you guessed.
Oh, that's very cute. I mean, it can be a blessing and a curse at the same time, because some people, when I'm trying to, when I'm keynote speaking and doing motivational training, people are like, you sure you did that? And then they'll Google me and they're like, wow, she really did. But yeah, so in the 80s and 90s, I was doing a lot of IT work, and that, it was fantastic. I loved it. It was definitely thriving. And then the bubble happened. So all of us took a great hit and I had to pivot, and I found that I wanted to do tangible assets. So I then pivoted into construction and real estate and did really well out of that. And then I was doing consulting, and companies kept coming out to me saying, hey, we've got a satellite system that, we just don't know how to bring it to market, or we've got this other system that's to do with space. And I just kind of rolled into it. Everybody kept talking about it all the time, saying, hey, space is a new frontier. And 15 years ago, nobody was talking about it apart from the major players. There was a whisper of Jeff Bezos doing something. Elon had just taken the reins on SpaceX, but was not going anywhere fast with it. Like, it was really still a standstill. So it was a very trying time of the industry where people were like, well, if you do this, it's a huge gamble. And I was like, you know what? I could do that. I come from nothing. I've got nothing to lose. I've made all this money, but I can lose it and win it and just keep trying. And I love to sink my teeth into something. And to prove a point, it's like, to make it grow. So I've been doing it for the last 15 years, talking to companies and consulting with them to make sure that, space tech investment is the way forward. And doing that, I kind of thought, I better go to space and find out if I'm really doing the right thing. So I kind of started off by buying a ticket with Virgin Galactic. And through them, I did a lot of space training. I got introduced to all the right people. And I was flying helicopters as a part-time hobby. So while I was doing that, I was meeting a whole other demographic of people too, who then introduced me to other people who were working with like space agencies around the world. And they're like, hey, you seem to have a bit of a knack for this. Would you consider going to space? And of course, a little girl from Scotland becoming an astronaut, especially the word astronaut, was never in my peripheral. But it's funny how one person can motivate you and another can ignite that in you. And it just was like, that was it. I was on a goal and mission. I was like, I have got to go to space now. I got to find a way to go to space. And because all these commercial agencies have set up, the opportunity came up. I got the call from Blue Origin to say a seat came available in 2020. And I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. And unfortunately, delays, it's pandemic. Then they had an anomaly. And then finally I got my opportunity in 24. So it was absolutely revolutionary and changed my life. I mean, the whole time I was crying, going to every little girl who thought her dream can come true. I am a walking example that it can. And just never stop believing, because really anything is possible if you are determined enough, you have grit and tenacity, and you really want to work hard, you can achieve that.
Oh my gosh, what an incredible story. You have encountered so much risk. And I mean this in like and you've just gone for it, and you haven't let that hold you back. I'm just thinking about, just in terms of career also, the fact that you have so much familiarity with like physical, tangible systems and also virtual systems gives you such a great visibility and understanding of that like hybrid world where space is at. And so what an amazing place where you're at right now in your career. So many things just make sense. And it's just like, oh my gosh. But most of all, especially... I'm sorry. I'm sort of like bowing down. I'm like,
I know there's a lot to like wrap your head around. I know. I'm like, blah, 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 wow. For like, and everyone goes, that's a lot. So yeah.
No, but but that you have, so you've rolled with it, and you have just taken those challenges head on. I've often joked with people, I am way too chicken to ever go into space. So I'm always in awe of people like yourself who have gone, because I'm just like, I'm too scared. But go figure that you've done it, because you're like, risk does not faze you. Like, you understand it, but you move forward. Just all my awe, all my admiration.
Risk. Thank you. It's a calculated risk. I don't do things, half-hearted, and I don't do things foolishly either. So whenever I do something, I mean, I'm a single parent and I raised my daughter by myself, but she's at the prime age now at 21, where she can make her own decisions. And, going to space is definitely a risk factor. And to sit down and have a conversation with her to say, well, mommy's doing this. And she just, tears of joy come in her face. She's like, you've wanted this your whole life. She goes, since I was a baby, you talk about space. And she says, so for you to go she says, for me to say no for you going would just be a disadvantage to your life. So I'm glad that she understood that this really is everything I wanted it to be. That
is so amazing. I've thought about that a lot in my own life. I have a 7-year-old, so it's just different phases of life. When my daughter's an adult.
Yeah, we want to make our kids proud too. This new generation need more female role models. And I thought, she can't get that from her own mother, then where are we going with this? It's like, we need to start at home and expand and create that ripple outwards. And, if I can just change one or two other lives and make them happier or more motivated, or see that there's an out, then I've done my job as a human being.
Oh my goodness. Of course. Absolutely. You're still fresh off of your trip to space. It's still pretty recent. So please tell me about that experience. I never get sick about hearing people's experiences. I'd love to hear yours.
It was the most incredible. I mean, I was so overqualified for this launch, because I've done, I trained in Russia before with all the cosmonauts. I've done NASA in Philadelphia. I've done Go Zero G like 20 times. Love them. Wow. Big shout out to Go Zero G guys, because I thought they would tell me I couldn't go anymore. I was always taking them space. quite literally. But I just love all of that. So when it came to my turn to do it, I was just so prepared. I was calm. I was like bringing my whole crew into meditation. And the day of the launch, we were sitting there just really fine-tuned together. And when I got into the seat, and it's a 5-part harness, and you're clipped and tight and hard, and you've got your white knuckles holding onto the side of the rail, and you look to my right, and there's this floor-to-ceiling window, and you see you just see the dust outside, and you think, where's this going to go? Like how I can't believe I'm actually doing this. This is my moment. The scariest part was like, thankfully they train you for it. The scariest part was like when it goes 3, 2, 1, it doesn't actually take off from there. You have 7 seconds after that number 1, and so we started going 7, 6. And when that started happening, the cabin goes red. You see fire coming up the side of your window, and you see debris just flying everywhere. And you suddenly think, but you're trained for it, that they tell you this beforehand, saying is that 7 seconds before it starts moving, that you're going to think that you're like a suckling pig and you're being fried in the middle of something, but you're not, and you're good. And it will just take off and it'll start shuddering and it goes up. And the minute it just started going up, you are full thrust all the way. It's like, Mach 3, you're going almost 4,000 kilometers an hour, and you're pinned down so hard that, my face is contorted and making all sorts of shapes in this eye. But I kept looking one eye in the monitor and one eye out the window. And I was like, I don't care how I look. This is like the ride of my life. This is what I've dreamed my whole life for. And you watch as the earth just gets smaller and smaller below you. And it's just this fragility of it all. You watch it as just suddenly it goes from light to dark, like a flick of a switch. It suddenly goes black, and you're in space. And all that happens like within minutes. And you're standing there and you're like, your harness becomes, you lift up from your seat and you think there's no space in your harness prior to going up. There is when you're in space, you suddenly realize there is a gap. You undo your 5-point harness and you just float. For me, it was more the view. I didn't want to throw candy or throw water or do somersaults. I was like, I want to see the view. So I went upside down, more for like aesthetics in the camera, to be like, hey, look at me. I'm upside down. I'm floating. I did that, and then I immediately turned back around and clipped myself back in again. I looked out the window, and it was just magnetizing. They tell us prior to launch, don't put your hands in the windows. We don't need fingerprints because we're filming it all. There's some science experiments happening, so we need all the camera footage we can get. First thing I did, slap my face to the window and handprints all over it. I was just like, I want to get out there. Oh my God, this is incredible. And I was screaming, this is incredible. Get me out there. I want to be in it. There was magnetism. I just felt so drawn into it. It was magnetic and sparkly, and it wasn't like a dark black, like a sad black. It was like a beautiful, shiny, effervescent black that I've never seen in my life before. And all I wanted to do was swim in it. And so I literally was like glued to the window and just thought, I want to immerse myself. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm booking my next space ride. I have to get a trip. I have to start swimming. I have to experience this more. And before you know it, they're saying, put your harnesses back on, clip back into seats. So everybody's like checking on one another. We all clicked in. We had little GoPros, did a couple of selfies all around with everyone, shot them a little bit. And then we were coming down. You just see everything coming up fast, and I'm just, tears were streaming down my face. And I wanted the moment to stop. I wanted whole timeline of life to just stop. And I'm looking at the fragility of the earth and that thin blue line everyone talks about. Yeah, it's really like that. Not flat, not a flat liner. It's definitely not flat. The earth is round. But yeah, that thin blue line was just like, okay, I need to do something that involves helping Mother Earth, being part of that, embracing, I love to call it Pachamama, embracing Pachamama, and just finding a way to bring space and earth in her harmony together as one. I mean, our mission and goal was about humanitarian causes. We had such a disruptive crew. We had, a Muslim and a Jew and the youngest woman, and like everybody was so different and eclectic, but we worked so well. And I think that's the beauty of space. The eclecticism, and like there's no, it's, people talk it ad nauseum, no boundaries, no religion, no nothing, but it really is. And it expands your brain into so many different levels and takes your breath away that you just think, why can't we live like this all the time? Why can't life be like this continuous? So yeah, when I came back down to earth, I came down with a thud. It was really hard for me to kind of like, bring myself back into like how the world just evolves, and the hate and the anger and everything else, and how, and it was great because it made me think I need to help people. I need to change that. I need to do something that, it makes it from the roots up. So for me, it's kids. I always think if you talk to children, you encourage children, you motivate them, you enlighten them in a way that brings joy to their heart and soul, then they're going to be better people in this world. And if they're happier, better people, there's going to be less war. And if there's less war, then there's going to be more, everything's going to be better for everybody. So yeah, that was kind of my 10-minute little ride, but it just made me so addicted to like, I want to do more. I want to do more.
We'll be right back.
Now, a word about our sponsor, the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute. The JHU-ISI is home to world-class interdisciplinary experts dedicated to developing technologies to protect the world's vast online systems and infrastructure and working closely with U.S. government research agencies and industry partners. The Institute offers dual degree and joint programs in computer science and health informatics and has been designated as a center of academic excellence in cyber research. Learn more at isi.jhu.edu.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/campaign to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
I can only imagine after such a, I mean, you're up there, my life is forever changed, right? I mean, there's nothing will ever be the same. I mean, that is not often in life do we get moments like that. Maybe when our child is born, but going into space is definitely, nothing will ever be the same. And what comes after, I'm always so curious. And you were starting to get to that because, I mean, walking around on Earth going, I've been to space. How do I even kind of go about my day now?
Well, that was it. Well, yeah, really. I was like, you get told by, I work with different space agencies and they were just like, well, Nick, you really should get a publicist. You should arrange all of this. And I just thought, why do I have to pay money to tell people that we can do better? I'm like, that should naturally gravitate towards people that can get that message out to the right people at the right time. And so, I reached out to a couple of people by myself and just said, hey, this is my story. I want people to see I'm real rags to riches. I'm a real girl from trauma, can touch the stars. And I have to say, there's a little bit of a plug. I did write a book about my life that's coming out next year. So it's Grit to Diamond Stars. We have a little bit of a hiccup with some legalities. There's some people who were in it don't want to be in it anymore, so I'm rewriting them out of the book, which is fine.
It's not always the way. That's happens a lot.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm kind of going through that at the moment. So unfortunately, it's not going to hit the Christmas book list, but hopefully it'll be a summer read for next summer. Everybody will be sitting reading it. A little girl who goes to space and how her dreams came true. So so kind of that's my journey. I'm kind of just talking about that, talking about how anything is possible.
It's amazing. I love hearing you tell all these stories, by the way. You're a fantastic storyteller, so just wanted to say that. I know you have other things that you're also working on. I was looking on your website. You're very busy. This is not surprising given how many phases of your career you've gone through. So I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to tell me a little bit about the other things that you're also up to. So feel free to regale me a bit because you're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I enjoy this stuff. So I think my bread and butter is private equity investment for space tech stuff. So that's more like everything from satellite systems, asteroid mining, just a little bit of kind of everything. But it has to be companies that have real tangible asset on Earth too. I don't believe, I lived through the dot-com bubble where everyone was going, I'm a unicorn and give me trillions of money. And it's like, well, I'm not going to buy your dream. I need to see that this is a reality and could work. So people are quite, are very, very careful of what they bring to my desk. But when they do, I usually get some really good stuff, which I'm really grateful for, which is great. And then the philanthropic side, I do a lot of motivational speaking at schools. So I try and target age group between 8 and 15, because I think that's a pivotal point in someone's life. The first 6 months are usually indebted with like the parents have like ingrained in them certain like patterns, and it's up to us to then bring that forward and make that a creative side and a more harmonious side and help guide them into what they can do. And I talk totally about STEM. I think it's really important for girls to be encouraged by it. When I was a girl, it was home economics and baking and knitting. And we weren't told that physics and science and all that were great and fun. And you can be pretty and wear pink and stand there in a Bunsen burner. And, your lab coat doesn't have to be white. It can be fluorescent. And so I'm trying to break that demographic of all that. Say, look, you can basically do anything. So I love doing that. So I talk to a lot of schools. I get flown around doing that. And then I also do corporate trainings and motivations. And I talk to CEOs of companies because I think a lot of companies aren't working or need to pivot. It becomes rotten from the top down. And companies don't always acknowledge that. They blame their staff constantly. Oh, they're not working hard enough, or they're not doing the right thing, or we've employed the wrong people. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. It can't be your whole team. Surely something else is wrong. So yeah, our team tend to go in and we do like a 360 and we assess everybody. And I'd say 90% of the time it's the boss. So I then go in and sit down with the boss and be like, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm the one here. It's like the bearer of bad news. I'm always coming in to fight fires. And I think I'm pretty good at it. So I sit down with them and I listen to what they think the company should be at, where they think it should go. And then I'll sit down with them and be more of a sounding board. Like I will never advise someone, this is the way the direction the company should be. I'll listen to them and like pick keywords up from what they've said and say, well, did you think about this? Like obviously you're thinking about it, but if you pivoted in this way instead. So yeah, I think I love that more than anything else. And I'm in a really nice position in my life where I get to pick and choose because it's not every boss I want to work with. Some people I'm thinking are beyond hope, but I don't want to tell them that. So I'll send in one of my team members or something, be like, yeah, that's that person again. That guy, the one who's prejudiced and loud mouth and and arrogant. Well, we just need to fire him. So yeah, but I love it. I really love my job. And I think it's really important to encourage women to become, key players in positions of power. And, I'm a huge fan of like Gwen Shotwell, who's running SpaceX, because I think that she's done that remarkably well over the last 15 years. I've watched her turn it around and she's just on the sideline. She doesn't have to be in front of the camera all the time to achieve the greatness that she's done. And I have great admiration for that. And there's a lot of other pivotal players like that too, in the automotive industry and all around. So, it's great. I get to talk to people like that and speak to them about their struggles. And I mean, firsthand experience, when I came back down from space, I had a lot of hate on social media. I mean, I was surprised. Men become very vindictive and angry with women who have places of power. And there's this hate of like, who did you sleep with? What did you do? And I was just like, well, hold on a minute. Why are you saying that? Why have you become so toxic? Why do you feel it necessary? And, keyboard warriors who hide behind that screen are the worst ones for it. So our company, because, we have some great IT security, we tend to try and find out who these people are. And then we'll reach out to them and on a different site, like we'll find out who they are and then reach out to them to their LinkedIn and they'll be horrified. And I'll be like, that, X629525Z that you're using on Insta. Well, we know it's you. So do you want to tell us why you're saying that to this person? And they'll suddenly read it and be like, well, actually this happened. So it's usually some core thing that happened to them that made them angry. Like some woman, just dissed them somehow in their relationship, or they felt, hurt by them, that they just rally out. So we just need to navigate that and try and realize that people, there needs to be less hate. We need to kind of make sure that we can work harmoniously together.
Yeah, I've seen what you're talking about, both in your case and other women who've gone to space. I'm thinking of Emily Calandrelli. As soon as she came back down to Earth, no woman is surprised. It's sadly disappointingly familiar, but I hate that it's happening.
I mean, I'm currently right now staying with a friend of mine. She was a Virgin Galactic astronaut, and her and I were chatting about last night. And it just doesn't matter which space agency you're from. It could be NASA or ESA or Galactic or Blue or wherever. All of us encounter the same thing. And that's horrifying in this day and age. And like you say, we've just had the 100th woman who's been in space. We need to break this, not just the glass ceiling of women in these power positions, but the toxicity that people throw at you afterwards because you've done that, because you're driven and because you want to achieve something. I mean, we should be embraced by that.
Yeah, and it's amazing when we have in the space industry, the conversations about how do we get more women into the space industry. And I often can't say it very directly, but part of me just wants to go, well, look what happens when women go to space. and I'm just Emily just went, like she just came back, so
I was
I'm thinking
there.
very
I went
directly
to,
of
I
her.
went to
Yeah,
witness
you were
it.
there.
Yeah.
I know, you were quite literally there, and I'm just thinking, again, life-changing experience for her to then encounter that kind of ugliness upon such a joyful thing, and it's completely wrong and terrible, and yet so predictable. Like every woman saw that one coming, and it's just like,
and we all
why?
spoke to her about it too. Yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody reached out and said to her, "Hey, we're here to help you manage the after." And it's like, as much as you tell people this is going to happen, you're like, no, but you're on such a high from space that comes out, it just blindsides you, because you're like, hold on a minute, can everybody rally around and just give me a hug and tell me how amazing this experience has been? I mean, and I just, I would say that's all the crew who fly in any shape or form. And I always say, your experience can never be taken away from you. Always remember that. Keep yourself grounded. Remember those moments. Whatever everybody else says, good or for bad, just remember your moments and your key things. And, the most important is journal afterwards, write it down, make sure you have a copy of it. So anytime someone else gives you like just Roth, you just reread that and remind yourself this was your journey.
That's right. Yeah. And for those of us who have never been but are watching and cheering you all on, to me, I consider it part of my mission is to just be that positive voice that there are so many of us that just admire you all so greatly. And as the mother of a little girl, I am always telling all your stories to her, because those are not the loud conversations on social media. They're the quiet ones happening at home. But women
absolutely.
like you, they matter a great deal to women like me
and
my little girl.
We wouldn't be in positions we are too without women like you too helping us spread the word of this joy, and I just think that's important. We're all links in one big chain together. There's no bigger link than the other. It's like, and I just think that, it's great.
Well, Nicolina, I'm so glad I got a chance to talk to you. I want to give you the last word. I always like to give my guests the last word. If there's anything you want to leave everybody with, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for speaking with me. It's really been an honor and a joy speaking with you. So, but by all means, you will have the last word.
Thank you, Maria. It's been an honor and joy for me to be able to have a moment to talk to people about this. I just think it's important that people realize, like, never stop dreaming. Believe in those dreams. Don't let anyone else sideline you and take away anything you think you want to do. I mean, I'm a walking example that you can achieve anything, literally touch the stars. And I think that's important to remember. Just keep going for it. Never stop.
That's it for T-Minus Deep Space, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. You can email us at space@n2k.com or submit the survey in the show notes. Your feedback ensures we deliver the information that keeps you a step ahead in the rapidly changing space industry. T-Minus Deep Space is produced by Alice Caruth. Our associate producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester, with original music by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president, Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I am your host, Maria Varmazes. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.